Jose Rodriguez says, breaking news. Baldo is drunk on the Melton show, reading off Aaron's bank records and declared he used April's shack to pay off his house. Well, of course, we understood like he was going to use the money from the Silent Hill house to pay off that mortgage or HELOC or whatever it is that he had foreclosed on. That was in foreclosure. So yeah, that's like, I think everybody kind of agreed that was going to be the game plan, which made sense. And given how fast money changes hands and that house is closed on sale now, it should taking care of it. Poof, sales called off. But yeah, reading off bank records, that's a brilliant game plan. That's a brilliant game plan. Would not recommend you do that, chat. Would not recommend you do that. Would not. Jose says Nick announced he's asking for an Alford plea. I don't know how that's going to work for him, but I wish him the best. If he can get it, sure. If you guys were not aware, that's a case, Alford v. North Carolina v. Alford. Alford was a black guy who was accused of murdering people and was facing the death penalty, but he pled guilty and maintained his innocence to avoid the death penalty. And initially, the trial court said, I can't accept that plea. And it went all the way through up to the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court of the United States says, yes, in fact, there are times you can plead guilty to maintain your innocence at times, but you don't always get that right. It's not always automatic. Alfred pleas are not always easy. Well, free legal advice. Well, the free legal advice is don't read people's personal bank records online, especially when it's not clear you never were given access or you're supposed to have them in the first place. If it's not yours, don't go airing out other people's shit. That's always just a generally good example of things. Don't air out stuff that's not yours, and if you weren't given it to you by that person. So, and that's just kind of basic. Like if it's not yours, do you think that person wants you to share it? Well, especially if it's something important like that. I wouldn't do that. That would just be my recommendation to you guys. Jim Cox saying a no contender or no contest is the same thing, right? No contest is different. A no contest plea, the way a no contest plea works, you're saying, I'm not contesting the complaint. The allegations in the complaint, I'm not saying they're true. I'm just not saying anything at all. Because with a no contest plea, you're basically consenting to the court reading the complaint and determining if there's a factual basis for you to have committed that offense. Because you're stipulating saying, I'm not saying I did it, but I'm not disagreeing with what's alleged. And the court looks at it and says, okay, well, and normally complaints are done in a way the judge can look at it and say, okay, well, I look at this, you pled no contest, I find you guilty. Now, there are times where, and I did this before as a public defender, you could do this, especially in like bums and, winos would get arrested and they get charged with like disorderly conduct or obstructing official business. You read the complaint that the officer filled out, as he arrested the guy, and you look at it and you're like, this doesn't meet the elements of the offense. And you hand it up to the judge and say, Your Honor, we plead no contest. Judge looks at it and says, okay, yeah, you pled no contest. I find you not guilty. So that's where no contest is vastly different. An Alford plea is an entirely different monster. An Alford plea is very, very different. You maintain your innocence, but you're acknowledging, like, I would get convicted if I went to trial. So that's the thing. If Nick said he's going to try to get an Alford plea, that's his way of admitting, like, okay, he would go into court and say, I'm innocent, but I also recognize had I gone to trial, I would have got my boots, like I'd have got my ass kicked. That's what an Alford plea is. That's different. So I hope that kind of makes sense. They're not even on the same, they're not even branches of the same tree. They're entirely different trees. Who's Alfred? It's Alfred. No, Alford. Alford. And what's the guy's name here? Henry Alford. Henry Alford was the guy. And it was a 1969 case. He was accused of a murder in 1963. So it's North Carolina and you're a black guy. Yeah, I can see why you might argue, like, I didn't do it and it doesn't matter. I'm just saying. I can understand why he might do that. Why would the court allow that kind of plea? There are times where the courts can allow it. You can do it. The judge does not have to accept that plea. It's not automatic, but it can be done. But you can do it. So, I mean, and here's the thing: not all states even allow an Alford plea at this point. I know you're asking that, but like Minnesota does allow them, I think. I know like Indiana doesn't allow it, but Ohio you can do an Alford plea. I've had clients do it before. But the judge also could say like, no, I'm not accepting it. And for the most part, that's going to be something you can't appeal because that's going to be within their discretion. And it's abuse of discretion issue.